Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of TrackRats Garage. I'm Jackson, but you can call me Jack Rat, and today we're taking off the front fenders and the bumper. Now, since I already removed both the battery and the air box, as well as the bolts that connect the bumper to the frame, all we really need to do is to remove the fender bolts as well as the bolts that hold the fenders to the bumper. Now, after removing the battery and the air box, to free up some space behind the fender here, we're going to be removing the two horns, which are right here on the inside of the fender. They should come loose with just these two 13mm bolts. Here's one. And here's the other done. Look at all that space we've cleared up back there to remove some of these bolts. And now we have space behind the fender to start removing the bumper. Just a helpful word of advice, it's always good practice to make the most out of everything that you remove from a car. Great example, headliners like the one that came out of this car make great work mats. So it's always useful to keep stuff like that. And I will apologize in advance for my head being in the shot. There's no real way for me to videotape this without me doing so.
When she gets a little touch, if I had it my way, you know that I'd make it safe. July will make it 3. Why'd you have to go away from home? Why you leave me? Why you leave me?
It's gonna be hard to see.
Take me away.
That is what we're trying to remove. And the last bolt I need to get at is the 12mm right here up front that connects the front fender to the bumper. And with that, the bumper and the fender are no longer one piece, and we can unbolt the last couple bolts on the fender and take it off. There we go, complete with a resonator. Apparently I wasn't recording that whole time. Anyway, what I did do, took off the chrome trim as well as the inner fender. Now I can't stress how important it is to have a good knife when doing stuff like this. I was able to cut through that thick plastic like butter. And how important it is, if you do use a knife, to be very careful. Not only for it being a knife, but when you're using a knife next to a tire. Because this thing has 30 to 50 pounds of compressed air, and if I accidentally poke this through that tire wall, that's going to shoot back in my direction with between 30 and 50 pounds per square feet of pressure. So it's very important to have a tool like this, but it's more important to know how and when to use it. So if you do, be careful. Now that the inner fender is gone, I can work on the last bolts for the fender, remove this fender, and then the bumper. Before I get a chance to take off the bumper and the fenders, I will need to take off the only bumper support out here on the back side, and pardon the sideways camera, but right there. That metal bar connecting to the frame rail down here, something I want to keep because while this car is driving on the road, what keeps this plastic bumper from flapping around over here is that support. It holds that bumper in solid. So I want to take that out, but I can't rip it out because I want to keep it. And other than that, I'll have to remove the two bolts connecting the fender and the bumper. And since the bumper support bolts, as well as the fender bolts on the other side, are already disconnected, when that happens, this bumper should fall free. That's both. So let's see if this bumper can come off. Now that was fun. Now it's important to keep track of useful things that you know you're going to need again, like the bolts for the bumper as well as the fenders. So it's a good practice to take the bolts that you've stripped off the fender and put them back where they're supposed to be. Now, one of the problems we have is that the last two bolts that need to come out are those. And when I was 17, I didn't really care much. I decided to hop a curb, which smashed this entire piece of fender. I don't know what that is, just more of the body, and bent the living shit out of it, let alone what happened to that bolt. I don't know how that bolt has so much gunk and grime on it, but I gotta get that fixed before I can remove those last two bolts and take this fender off. Luckily, I have purchased a very high-tech piece of equipment to do just that recently. We're really close. That's a lot straighter. And I've scraped all that shit off of this bolt. And that bolt is now at an angle that I can get with the wrench. But that one is still facing too far upwards. The problem is, when the curb came up and bent that, it also pushed this whole back section upwards. So this is also bent up towards the car. So even though that plate is now pretty damn straight, I still can't get the bit on there, the socket, to take it off. So I'm gonna have to bend that guy a little bit more, and it's hurting my hands and it's hard to do, but we'll get there. In the meantime, I will strip off that last bolt, that first bolt down there, so we have one last bolt to go when I'm done. Here's the extent of the problem. So you see this right here, how it's bent upwards? that is supposed to be a straight line. Since this was pushed upwards, as it is back here, this whole plate, instead of being straight up and down, is now facing outward like that. And the bolts on the front end of that sheet are facing up towards the bottom of the fender here. Now what that means is I cannot get the socket to fit on there cleanly to get it off. So I'm having to actually manually take these pliers, grab onto that plate, and physically force it downward. There I go with the camera work, and please pardon the music. So that's what I'm doing now. And as I'm taking this off, notice the amount of space between the top of the tire and the bottom of the fender. The ride height on this car as a standard is very high. This is going to be the last real good example to see it before we start doing heavy work on the car. So let's get this last part off for today. Look at all that. Look at all that dirt and grot and grime stuck in there. Look at that. Thanks for joining me today. It's been a really fun day of work, and it's always so satisfying when you can see this much progress out of 4 hours of work. It feels really good. So much for watching. I had a blast today. Best thing I can say is, until the next time we meet, farewell.